Hi everyone, welcome to the Rossum Spring Product Launch of 2022. Thank you all for joining us today from wherever you are. If you're wondered whether your AI solution is performing to its full potential, today's event is for you. We have two major product updates for you today. They will be covered in detail in the keynote and during the demo, where you will see them in action. What follows is our Q&A panel, during which we will be taking your questions live and discussing how AI customization affects modern companies. And just one more thing before the start, the recording of today's event will be available for later viewing on our YouTube channel if you would like to share or visit. Now, to speak about our newest release, let's welcome Petr Baudiš, Rossum CTO and Chief AI Architect.
Hello everyone, I am very excited to be here with you again, as we definitely haven't been sitting idle, and today I'd love to talk about Rossum's most central differentiator, our unique AI engine, because we have been very busy evolving it, and I'd love to show you the next level we evolved it to. Of course, when we talk about Rossum, we talk about automating business communication, automating all those transactional documents that are going through your companies and they're processing end to end. And the goal is to save your team, your company, the staggering amount of tedious, mind-numbing work. And much of it is in capturing the data from the documents. So today, let's address the elephant in the room, how to get there. From using Rossum for the first time, what's the path to get to the major effort savings? We should start with what every one of you can experience in the trial version of Rossum. And I hope that all of you got the chance to experience the amazing moment when an uploaded document usually gets recognized automatically right away. Our core generic AI engine now offers this experience for accounting documents such as invoices, purchase orders, delivery notes, etc. So if we are talking about a typical case, then in case of any gaps in the automation, the data capture AI just adapts automatically as you use the platform using the capability that we call instant learning. And that's often all that's required for great accuracy. This is a completely different experience compared to a legacy solution that we would get a couple of years ago in terms of how soon you get a value from it. Let's take a closer look and compare it side by side. You see the red curve on the screen, and that would be how legacy experience typically goes. You have a quite long configuration phase because it takes a lot of time before you get real value from the solution through going through the deployment, configuration, setup, etc. And then when it's finally configured, you need to keep your IT staff continuously engaged. It needs to be adapting the solution to any changes because your business is not static. It's in a dynamic environment of ever-changing business partners, etc. And that needs continuous tweaks. And it's worth noting that these solutions they are often talking about performance just on subset of documents used in the rollout when they are selling themselves to you. Whereas here, we are discussing the overall performance on your complete use case. So when we take a look at the green curve, Rossum represents an agile approach. The initial solution is already valuable. It's ready pretty much immediately, and you are able to get a lot of value, a lot of effort reduction for your team from it right away. And then it continuously improves over time, but without any additional overhead for your staff. It's just business as usual for them, just using the app as usual. So that's how the trial experience extends to real production experience when we are talking about these accounting documents like invoices. And this great out-of-the-box experience makes a huge difference for so many of our customers. One of our ISV partners is Meplato, an e-procurement platform. And for example, they really appreciate that they can scale up this smooth onboarding experience to all of their customers. But the legitimate question to ask is, what if I have other documents? Because we know users of IDP platforms, intelligent document processing platforms, they need a versatile solution. They ask for a versatile solution where they have the confidence that they rolled out something truly future-proof that can handle all the full variety of their document needs. So, to put it bluntly, is this all good for just Invoices, what I walked you through regarding the Rossum experience? The answer is very much not. Rossum customers are using Rossum for so many documents already, ranging from debit notes, sales orders, this kind of documents, all the way to test reports, rent rolls, W2 forms, etc. So actually a very wide variety of documents already. Rossum AI is not limited just to accounting documents right now. Actually, over half of Rossum clients already trained a customized AI engine that is dedicated to their specific use case, to their specific type of document. And they use the AI training capability of Rossum by simply starting with a few hundred of documents of their specific type as training data, and then they quickly got to a specific to a similar place as with the pre-trained out-of-the-box engine. So Rossum has this capability to get trained for your specific document type, which ticks the two most important boxes. It's versatile enough to cover the spectrum of documents you need as a company, and it's self-improving, which completely changes the long-term user experience and removes overheads. So that's an essential component in future-proofness of the system. And this works across companies of many sizes, it's worth noting. For example, we wanted to pick a smaller business. So Michelin Metals is an example of a smaller business that really appreciates the versatility and can also take advantage of this versatility. They qualify as a highly professional small business, and they supply companies like Boeing, NASA, or the US Navy. And they were easily enabled to train their own dedicated AI engine for 3 document types. For example, a material test report, MTR, acts as a certified record of a material's physical and chemical properties. It's similar, for example, to a certificate of analysis in the food industry. Very different document from an accounting one, and they just trained the engine, and they are very happy processing that one. Whereas Morton Salt is an example of an enterprise operation. It is actually North America's biggest salt producer, and we enabled Morton Salt to customize Rossum for their own concrete document variation, that being sales orders, and the self-improving aspect of our AI really made a difference for the long-term success of this project. So, Rossum is already versatile. Rossum is already self-improving. But we are still looking how to improve this experience even further. Because for us, it's not easy enough yet. But our bar here is very high. The fact is, there is no IDP solution, no intelligent document processing solution on the market that customers could adapt to their very specific document type with a snap of a finger. That's our bar, that's our criteria. And we have a vision for a truly universal IDP solution. And we believe that any transactional document in your company should be as easy to process as accounting documents in Rossum right now. That's what we work towards. And today, we are making a large step in that direction. With this launch, we are opening doors to 2 new major capabilities that streamline how AI engines are used and customized in Rossum. First, we are launching a new lineup of generic AI engines, so that at the tip of your fingers, you have a way more versatile out-of-the-box data capture experience. So besides invoices and purchase orders, a generic AI engine for accounting documents, which was already available at Rossum, we are launching a second generic engine that's able out of the box to process Chinese Fapiao invoices, a very specific type of document, quite challenging one. And a third generic engine able to process certificates of analysis, a document very prevalent in the manufacturing industry. And those two types demonstrate the versatility of the platform, the wide variance of documents that can be processed by Rossum. And you will get to see more in just a couple of minutes during a demo. You will be able to experience this in action. So these are the first two editions, available to any user currently upon request and soon selectable in the trial in a self-service way. We actually have a way more types in our pipeline to offer out of the box to all trial users. This is just the beginning for us of a longer cadence. Besides more out of the box engines, our second major capability we are launching today is streamlining how you can customize the AI engine to your specific needs. Because our goal is that any Rossum user can match the performance of out-of-the-box engines on custom document types and use cases. And that it takes literally just days. And this improvement makes that possible for a large class of documents now. Streamlined for us means, first, train as you go, in the sense that there is no required pre-training phase. The process is truly agile. Just start using Rossum. It improves continuously as you just use the app, just as with the out-of-the-box engine. It uses the instant learning capability to learn on your custom document type as well. But also, after 500 or so documents, you will experience another large jump and increase in generalization capability as a custom AI engine is trained. That means that Rossum will start being able to identify data even in entirely new layouts of documents that it has never seen before, just as it's able to on accounting documents. Second, to streamline this experience, we changed the process to be way easier to go through for any Rossum user. So we are launching a new user interface to manage the AI engines and their trainings. And you get full visibility into your AI engines as a Rossum user. And you will get a closer look in just a couple of minutes during the demo by our product team. To wrap this up, what does this all mean if you want to customize the AI and use Rossum on a new document type? How does your life change now? First, it means lower effort than ever for you, for both data and IT teams in your company, thanks to less technological management overhead. Second, it means extremely quick AI rollout time, because you have less dependence on Rossum AI specialists, even though they still stand by in case you would hit any roadblocks you might need help with. Third, we want to empower you, Rossum users. And we are giving you higher transparency and control to achieve that. But we are not stopping here. Versatile AI engines is one of Rossum's long-term R&D programs, and we'll be continuing in this direction. First, as I already mentioned, those new generic AI engines are just the beginning of a longer cadence, and we have many more in the pipeline, and we can't wait to show you what we have in future months and quarters. Second, long-term, we want to achieve a completely self-service AI training experience that meets our high usability standards. So it's something that's never been done yet, but this is our long-term goal to really achieve this snap of a finger experience. So we believe that Rossum, with those new capabilities, is now more versatile than ever to handle the full spectrum or full needs of document communication across all the document types that you need. But this is not all, obviously, and we have been working on other stuff in the last 3 months as well. We have released over 120 other product improvements in the last quarter. In the AI data capture part, on top of Chinese, which is now available on request to any customer and soon will appear as a trial option too. We now have beta availability of Japanese and basic handwriting. But we have been busy all across the map. And just one highlight, we streamlined the app interface to make the full breadth of functionality more accessible to everyone. We received great feedback on how discoverable all the capabilities that Rossum already has in store are now compared to previously. And among other things, you will get a peek at that now, as my colleague David from our product team shows you all the capabilities launched today in action. Meanwhile, I look forward to you all experiencing this new versatile AI capability we just launched. And I personally can't wait to see what types of documents you will feed to the Rossum solution. With that, let me pass the mic to David. Thank you all.
Thank you, Peter, for introduction. My name is David, and I'm a product manager here at Rossum. And you're right, our customers have been using dedicated engines for years now. For newcomers, dedicated engine is a custom-trained Rossum AI that is extremely accurate at the specific document types. But our customer base has been asking us for even more visibility into their dedicated AIs. And we are happy to introduce this today. So we are introducing this new AI engines page where you can monitor all Rossum engines. You can find it under automation and the AI engines. This is what it looks like. You can see all the dedicated engines in the list with a status next to it. This one is in an active status. And you can also see what queues are using the engine to process the documents. For customers who wish to automate a new document type, we have prepared a simple way to onboard a dedicated engine. Let's imagine a following situation, and I will use our favorite demo company, Dairy Products Limited, for this example. Dairy has automated its account payable process with Rossum, and it saves time and money. Now a new department would like to evaluate if Rossum can help them with a price list. I have an example of this document right here. So the price list is a new document that is different from what Dairy is processing with Rossum right now. And it's used to understand the price of different products in a restaurant. To process this new document type, I'm going to go to Automation and Engines right here. And I want to click Request a New Document Type button. What I get is a simple form where I have to enter the document type name. So I'm going to enter price lists. Document language, English in my case, and the estimated value is, I'm going to go with 100,000. Now I have to upload 10 sample documents. So let's do it. Now I want to click Request a New Document Type button. As you can see, Rossum specialist will contact me, and considering complexity of my case, they will help me to set up the engine. I can also see my engine in the list with an In Rossum Review label next to it. All I have to do now is start using Rossum for this new document type. Rossum starts collecting feedback, and in a few days, it will help me to extract documents way faster than what it takes to enter them manually. So let's jump forward in time a little. Dairy has been using Rossum for price list for about a month now, entering all their documents through Rossum's interface. At this moment, we can see the engine is in an active state, in active use, and it's processing documents on a queue called price list production. Let's jump into that queue and make sure everything works as expected. So here I can see the document type. And when I open it, all the fields are recognized. That's a pretty good result after a month of using. Just to compare, if I process the same document in the general invoice queue, I would get a decent accuracy and multiple fields are not extracted. So this dedicated engine is a big time saver for dairy products whose short resources could not handle the big amount of documents arriving lately. Dairy will now continue using Rossum to get even higher and better results. And moreover, as the IT manager, I have spent next to no time trying to build complex AI models. So this is how you can expand Rossum's capability. All of our existing customers can see their dedicated engines in their accounts right now. But dedicated engine is not the only update we want to introduce today. As you may recall, we have always offered a pre-trained AI which was highly accurate on accounts payable and receivable documents. We call these pre-trained AIs a generic engine. You can see them in the same AI engine screen now, together with the details on the state, the queues that are using this engine to process documents, and the documentation. Today, we are also launching 2 new generic engines for 2 new document types. First one is a Chinese FAPEO invoice. The second is for certificates of analysis. I have examples of these documents, so let's take a look at them. FAPEO serve as a proof of purchase for goods and services, and these are essential for businesses to comply with the Chinese tax laws. They all follow the same layout, but it's still very hard for traditional template-based systems to extract the data. Certificates of analysis are common in food and beverage industries. These documents confirm that the received food and products comply with the desired parameters and targets. They typically include complex line items, and this makes them very hard to read by non-AI solutions. Both of these generic engines can be made available to you in your Rossum account for your evaluation. So do get in touch with your representative to access these. So, what did we see today? A new AI engines page with both dedicated and generic engines, a new flow to request a dedicated engine, and 2 new generic engines that are available for you right now. So this is just a start of Rossum's new document capabilities. You can expect more document types to come to Rossum in following months. So this is all for demo, and thank you all for watching.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Let's give a second to our panelists to turn on the video. So we are now in a Q&A live portion of today's event. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, David. Thank you, Peter, for your amazing presentations. I think we all learned a little bit more about the AI customizations, the challenges of the modern companies of any sizes. So before we jump into the Q&A, I would also once again highly encourage our audience to, jump in on the conversation, just ask your questions by using the chat box below. We will take the questions one by one. We really want to, take every single one that you have, and also, jump in on the conversation, leave the comments if you think that there is something additionally that should have been said or could be said about any of the opinions. We are also open to hearing them. So yeah, before we start with the questions, I have a question of my own. And David, you mentioned that people already could start reaching out to the to us and to Rossum and to Rossum reps. So when can people start testing this new functionality?
So hello everyone. Am I audible? Is that
yes, all good?
Okay, cool. So hello everyone. So the functionality we have seen today is already available in your accounts. For the dedicated engines, our customers can see their engines at the screen that I was showing before. They can also see what queues are using the engines. So that is available right now. Also the new onboarding form, let's say. And for the generic engines, they're also visible in their interfaces. They just need to contact the customer success representative so they can help them to enable the functionality. But other than that, it's there.
Yeah, and I see there are some questions as well in the chat in regards to that. So Alistair is asking, in the price list example, would the model handle multiple different types of price lists? How much manual data entry would be required to train the system?
Yeah, so that's the whole point of the AI, right? We're generalizing the knowledge. So once the Rossum actually can see enough of the examples, it can then generalize and can also recognize different documents it has never seen before. I typically talk about it as you're teaching your kids to what is I don't know what's the glass, and you don't have to teach them like all the different glasses you can see in your local IKEA store. They'll pick it up. This is a glass. It's kind of transparent. That's how the engine actually learns also.
All right. So somebody's asking, what is a certificate of analysis? So a certificate of analysis is a document type. It's used, for example, a lot by manufacturing industries like chemical productions and manufacturers. So it contains, different requirements for chemical components, for instance, to make sure that everything that's been produced is in line with the regulations and requirements. So it's just one of the document types and use cases for a specific industry in that case. So, okay, questions are piling up. I see a couple of questions about the pricing. So both generic engines and new functionalities are freely available, right? But we do encourage you to get in touch with us or with your Rossum rep if you have one, or with your customer success manager. And we will, of course, walk you through the process. But yes, generic engines are freely available to everybody. Okay, I wanted to, before we go into the details, I wanted to take a quick step back and ask Peter a question, actually. You did mention, the AI customization, giving the wheel to people, to final users, and providing them with more visibility into the process. So we always have this, line to navigate between people who want all automation and never to look again at the document types, fully automated from A to Z. But then we also see some requests from our prospects, from our clients. They're interested in seeing behind the scenes, right? They want to see, to have more control over the AI customization. So why is it important to empower the users? What are your thoughts on that?
So I think a lot of this is about the onboarding process and the process of rolling out the AI engines within Rossum and streamlining that. Maybe I'll actually bring that question to David a bit because we chatted with David just last night and he had great thoughts about it.
Yeah. No, I agree with what Peter says. Visibility to us. It's definitely about knowing what is happening in the system. It's about, if you're integrating something, you have Rossum integration project running in your company. You want to know what's the next step and how quickly you will be able to start using it with kind of the potential when it starts to help you. And that's why we kind of like the visibility means that you can see what's your next step, what step you are at right now, because some of the configurations they might get stalled at some point, and you always want to know, hey, we are here, and that's our next step. So that's one part of the visibility. And then I think, Maya, you opened it, like the visibility after you already implemented, you're using your system. And so what's the level of visibility you actually need, or how much should you know about the engine, or maybe even AI? There are even some trainings in the AI. What does it really mean? I believe there is a very, very like a line that Rossum is defining in terms of like how much details you need to know. And I also believe that this should be on the side of not knowing the details, just enjoying the learning that you're getting from Rossum, because I believe we're here, all of us are here trying to solve the business problem for our companies. Like we want to extract documents faster, more documents or something. Rossum is not particularly trying to build a platform where you can customize your models or any AI. There are different platforms for this. It's a different sandbox you can try. But Rossum is here to help you, like with the business processes, and the visibility into the AI after you are implemented should be kind of limited to those processes. You must be able to recognize that your Rossum is learning. You're getting the most of it, but we don't really want to go deeper in the details of how we're really doing it. There's smart people working on that, and let's leave it to those people who know the mathematics, know the statistics, and let's just make sure that we are the learning that Rossum is famous for is happening correctly. Or maybe Baski, maybe you want to comment.
Oh, yeah. We have this constant balancing between giving Rossum users the independence to just have a to just like have this plug and play experience. You just like click a button. Ideally, you don't even click any button, and everything, all the training, all the learning is happening on the background by itself, and you are getting already the best possible experience. And frankly, even with all the AI research we are doing, some of it is about actually automatically choosing the right parameters for all the training processes, etc., so that this is touchless. We also want to make it touchless on our side, obviously, to spend minimum or no effort of our engineers on a specific use case, and have it turns out that the computer can actually choose the configuration in ideal case just better than any human automatically. Obviously, this has to be balanced with empowering, for example, our partners, empowering highly technical teams on customer side, because obviously we want to reduce the back and forth between them and our engineering teams if that happens. So we keep evaluating what the right balance is, and empowering our partners, for example, etc. But we always try to err on the side of this independence. It's like when you are purchasing compute workload in cloud, for example, you don't really care how the electrical systems are wired in the server room of your cloud provider. That's something several levels of abstraction beneath you, and you don't want to be bothered. You want to get a great service, you want to get great experience, and you don't care about the cooling and size of the chassis, etc. And this is the cloud effect, getting the service more and more managed by your service provider. And as a service provider, we want to give the same experience, providing a managed service that's already fine-tuned to be the best possible there is.
Yeah, and I think that applies as well to not just the first use case, but also to expanding, as multiple of our clients have done in the past. One of the teams or departments started using Rossum, and then also use that functionality to expand to other use cases, to other departments as they were scaling and growing their business. I think to that, Paolo has a question. Let me just scroll back to it. How long does it take in time from new document to a good level of accuracy? And what is an acceptable level of accuracy?
That's a good question. We typically ask, like, what is the good level of accuracy? It's different for every use case, for every company. It's also very dependent on the document, how it actually looks like, how complicated it is. It's very hard to answer this question generally. We know that it's not possible to answer the question like this. So that's why we have a whole team that is specialized around this area. So every time we're onboarding a new document, including this example that I was showing, there is a team of specialists that would look at your documents. In this case, we could see that there is 10 samples of documents. And based on those 10 samples, we're able to talk with the customer and evaluate, set up the expectations on the accuracy and everything. So we have a process that works to make this not like a general problem, but make it very specific. Every customer will know what is Rossum capable of doing for him.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. A question from Robert. Must creation of a new dedicated AI engine always involve a Rossum specialist for activation? Just to be clear, here we're talking about the dedicated AI engine. So yes, dedicated AI engine that is catering to the specific use case of a customer will involve Rossum support from our global services team. However, for these two new generic engines that are pre-trained and out of the box that you saw during the demo, the involvement will be much lower. So yeah, for dedicated AI engine, for sure, because dedicated AI always is created for a specific customer, and they're very specific.
For now, obviously, yeah, we keep working on this to make this even more streamlined.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, question from Hank. Rossum still has problems with rotated documents. Will this be looked into for future improvements and fixing? I know there is a few degrees currently where Rossum comes in and the AI actually corrects automatically if the document is rotated just a little bit. But what about rotated documents that are maybe rotated a bit more?
Yeah, this is definitely a topic in a product team, and there's definitely going to be an improvement on this, because that's things that happens. Documents are not always straight, and so there's multiple levels of how documents can be like wrapped or damaged, I would say, or either rotated or damaged. So level by level, step by step, we want to get to the point where we get the maximum out of documents. And I believe in the following months we'll see improvements on this one too.
Just to be clear, Rossum already has plenty of capabilities to deal with rotated documents, but it's not on the level where we would be completely happy with it. We still, just as Hank, we still see potential for improvement, and it's still something on our roadmap to work further on.
Yeah, always room for improvement everywhere. Okay, a question to Konstantin. I think it follows as well, because it has to do with the quality. Sometimes the documents are not as nice looking as maybe you would want them to be. So he says, in the demo, we've seen always nice PDFs, which look like they were handled digitally. What about documents which have been scanned and, for example, filled by hand when the quality is not nice? So to that, at least I could start off by saying that the handwriting, I know, is at the very last stages of testing with the Rossum product. Yeah, but in general, can you add something on top of that in terms of the quality of the documents? Not every document is looking as nice, and how Rossum handles that currently.
Yeah. No, I'll pass you.
So the Rossum AI engine, it's been designed from the very beginning to handle even those pretty nasty documents with low quality scans, etc. Obviously, all technology has its limits, but our overall goal is if a human can read it, the AI should be also able to read it. So even if it's a scan document, a little crumpled, Rossum should be able to deal with just fine. As David mentioned when answering the last question, actually, geometrical deformation. So if the document is unevenly folded, etc., that's one challenge we still need to work on. But that shouldn't be the case typically when you have a scanning line and some regular process there. When a different matter is handwriting, Maya touched on it briefly. This is something. It's an area where we are still working in. Historically, handwriting hasn't been such a big priority for Rossum because we focused on those documents where the layout is highly variable, and it's actually a bit different use cases on average than use cases where handwriting is common. When okay, there are regional specifics, like in Hungary, they really love handwritten receipts, for example, etc. But overall, either you have those highly variable documents like invoices, certificates of analysis, sales orders, etc., and our focus has been on those, or you have forms where you don't have such a high layout variance, but you have a lot of handwriting. So initially, we focused historically we focused on this layout variance. We mastered that a lot, so now we are catching up a little on the handwriting. But as Maya mentioned, we have this in private beta already, and we have initial versions available for customer testing. This is something we will still be working on.
Mm-hmm. I love it. You seem to have answered at least 3 or 4 questions in one with that one.
Excellent, because we have a lot of questions. Thank you all for asking those questions.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, let's keep going. Let's try to answer them all.
I see a bunch of questions from Robert as well and Jonathan, and that's about the languages. So, of course, today you've seen the Chinese invoices. So people are asking also about the Cyrillic and about other languages. So right to left languages. So yeah, those are being handled as well.
It's a work in progress. I don't know, David, if you want to comment further on.
Yeah, I was talking with my colleague on this topic. It's definitely a big initiative on bringing more languages. So some of them are being already tested. I know Japanese is one of these. Some of the other languages are just in progress right now. So yeah, it's very similar with the document types. As we focus on document types, we also focus on new languages right now.
Mm-hmm. Greg is asking, is there speed differences between a custom and generic engine, between dedicated and generic engine? So he's asking if the specific amount of documents will be scanned in generic, will it be taking longer than the same amount of documents that are processed by a dedicated engine? Probably, David, for you.
I think just to maybe from my side, generic engine versus dedicated engine, there is no difference in speed processing per se. This is not about the availability of the tendency of the engine, for example, from an operational standpoint. It has nothing to do with data sharing. So you can have the generic engine, your own copy in your own dedicated cloud deployment, for example, if you have that enterprise feature, etc. But David, I'll let you comment further if you have some extra.
Yeah, I was actually going, if we can clarify that question, whether it's about the time of processing or it's about a different timing. Maya, I didn't catch that. If that's a processing time, we are, it's even, and as Peter described, this is really like generic is it's a pre-trained model. Dedicated is your model. You can take it to any of your deployment.
So
Generic might as well be called just out-of-the-box engine because it's pre-trained, and it doesn't imply that it would be inferior in terms of availability or necessarily even in terms of quality. We have customers who are using generic engine, and their use case is so perfectly matches what we trained out of the box that they are still getting excellent rates of automations, etc. The dedicated engine just gives you this step to really adapt Rossum to your needs in case the out of the box experience is not 100% of it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So I think, David, this is also for you. That indeed is unfortunately anonymous, but they're asking if we could give them some more insight about any future plans to add other generic engines or other document types.
Yeah, I know, because as I said, I spoke to my colleague who is specializing on those new document types, and I know the pipeline is now containing the logistics documents. So there's going to be a bunch of logistics documents that we'll introduce in the near future, and other than that, I'd be happy to connect to my colleague who can maybe give more details. In general, we're now focusing on logistics. Yeah.
Thank you. Somebody in the chat is asking what type of data security Rossum follows. So Rossum follows all enterprise-graded data security protocols. You could also reach out to us directly. We will share specific certificates with you, ISO, SOC2, Type 1. All of this we have. Some of them can be distributed via NDA, but do reach out if you're interested and we could share it directly with you.
Yeah, I would also maybe add to this, if I can, that we also provide like a different deployment types for a different grade of customers. So if you really need a separate environment, that's absolutely doable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there are more questions in the chat about demo focusing on using clean images, but then images about the Manish is asking about images taken with a smartphone. I believe we covered it already at the beginning. More questions about the languages. So Hebrew and Arabic as well, we covered that. Let me see.
I like the question about, it's a bit loaded one, of course, but I like those loaded questions. Rating Rossum with ABI and UiPath document understanding. And obviously those questions are very tricky to answer. What I just wanted to mention is when we talk to customers and prospective customers that did those comparisons with the most popular alternative systems, we usually hear a lot of praise for them. So I would just like to encourage you to do this comparison. We are not afraid of it at all. I think that's one way to comment on this question. And in terms of like feature completeness and automation, extraction quality, it's the question. One thing I would suggest is think not just about a demo you see from a vendor when choosing a data capture or IDP system in general. Think about how is this gonna extend to the rest of the volume? How is the onboarding process gonna look like? How much effort it will require, and how long it's gonna be before you reach automations that you need. And think about the long-term experience, also the learning experience. I think for many of those AI solutions, the learning aspect is not so emphasized, and it's the speed of learning and the rate of adaptation is one thing that we really realize that matters for user experience.
Yeah, if I can add to you, Peter, I'm also hearing a lot about our user interface. Sometimes, a document is not picked fully, but having a good user interface that can quickly, move the document through the pipeline makes a big difference for some of our customers. So that would be another one to look at.
Yeah. So there are some questions again in the chat. Yes, the recording will be available later. So please do get in touch, in which case we will notify you directly when it's available later this week. And also keep an eye on our YouTube channel. So with all the previous product launches, this one will also appear there. There is a question about translating the UI to Spanish. This is definitely in discussions as Rossum is growing more and more, and not in the near future, I believe, but yes, we'll have to hear that there is a demand for it. So thank you for that comment. Question from Robert. Is Rossum capable of determining the document types of inbound documents and routing to an appropriate document type queue? In other words, is there a digital mailroom capability? I think Robert will hear some really good news right now, right? For routing, there's currently an extension that's available already in the Rossum store. We've talked about it, I think, a couple of product launches ago. So some capabilities are already available for automated routing of the documents. And Robert, I think you would be very curious about our coming product launch, which will be dedicated to digital mailroom intelligent inbox. And we will be releasing a lot more on that topic. So please make sure to register for that one. All right, I know that we are at the bottom of an hour, and there's a lot more questions that we didn't have a chance to answer, but I did want to thank everybody for coming. And I want to also give some time to our experts for the final remarks. If you wanted to kind of summarize how today went, what kind of thoughts and opinions you have based on the questions in the chat. Now it's your time. Maybe David, let's start with you, and Petr can follow.
Yeah, to me, what I want to say is that this is really the beginning. This is like we've made a huge fundamental changes in our system, in our internals, and now we are going to use that to build on top of it. It's sometimes you just have to do something prior to then grow. Your document types or languages. I think we've made this right now, so our customers now will be able to see the progress, the expansion that they are going to enjoy. So also thank you everyone for coming today, and I look forward to see you in the next time.
I think for me, this work is a keystone for achieving many of Rossum's core values. When I get asked about what are the key values of Rossum as an IDP solution, I always talk about three things. One of them that it's an end-to-end solution that handles the communication problem between companies, from receiving documents through processing them to getting them smoothly to your target system. That's one aspect. But the other two aspects is that it's an all-in-one gateway that's really universal across a wide variety of document types. And then the third aspect is about zero effort onboarding, zero effort rollout of the system. And I think those two are really getting transformed by what we are launching today. To be clear, those new generic engines that we rolled out, they aren't just simple variations to the accounting documents. We chose those two in part to demonstrate the versatility of the system and ability to handle documents with different characteristics. So the Chinese FAPIO invoices, they look just like forms, but in fact, each of them is just different enough from each other that you cannot just solved it by zonal OCR or traditional rule-based system. And obviously, often they are poor scans, they are in Chinese, which is an OCR challenge by itself. So we tried to pick a challenge as one of those generic engines to demonstrate the power of AI training in Rossum and how much you can actually customize Rossum to a specific use case. And the certificates of analysis is a document type which has some of the most challenging, most complex tables that you can see across a variety of documents. It has pushed the boundaries of our product capabilities. It has pushed initially. It has pushed our AI team a lot in order to handle everything with our magic items, functionality, etc. So again, we try to pick a challenge there and pick a specific document because we really believe that in terms of adaptability on the market, Rossum is one of the shining stars there. At least we hope so, and we hear that from our customers, and that's what we want to work hard to keep and stay ahead of the market, because everyone, of course, everyone is improving, and that's great for you customers, because overall the goal of all of us in this market is to work forward to higher automation and better user experience for you all.
Thank you. I think it's very inspirational. So that's the end of our session today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I just wanted to quickly share the contacts, because there were so many unanswered questions. Please reach out to any of us, reach out to Rossum Rep, write us. We will be happy to answer all your questions in the aftermath of this. And yes, as mentioned, the recording will be available also later on. So with that, thank you so much. Thank you to our expert. Thank you for the audience that was very engaged in the conversation. We hope to speak to you soon, and have a good day, everybody.